Othman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, was the third of Prophet Muhammad's successors. He was known as the leader of the faithful and ruled for approximately 12 years. The first 6 years were times of relative tranquility and peace. However, the last years of his reign were marred by internal conflict and pockets of rebels trying to cause havoc throughout the Caliphate. Othman is remembered as a pious, gentle, and kind man, known for his modesty and shyness, and admired for his generosity. He ruled with impartial justice and mild and humane policies, based on his obedience to God and his love for Prophet Muhammad and the Muslim nation. Othman, may Allah be pleased with him, was born 7 years after Prophet Muhammad, may the mercy and blessings of God be upon him, and belonged to the Umayyad branch of the Quraysh tribe. The Umayyads were the most influential clan of the Quraysh. They were the strongest and wealthiest, and Othman was their golden child, the most beloved, due to his good manners and shyness. Like his predecessor Omar ibn al-Khattab, Othman was able to read and write. This was an unusual skill in pre-Islamic Arabia, and Othman became a successful trader and cloth merchant. Throughout his life he was known as a kind, generous man, and even before his conversion to Islam he would freely give money to help those in need. It was his close friend Abu Bakr who introduced Othman to Islam, and he embraced the new religion at the age of 34. This was during the very early days of Islam, when the men of Mecca were systematically abusing and torturing any converts to Islam. In spite of the abuse, Othman would not give up his Islam, and in time Othman was married to Prophet Muhammad's daughter, Ruqayyah, thus strengthening his relationship to the Prophet. The abuse and torture continued, and Othman's wealthy family and status in society as a merchant did not protect him. He was abused and tortured even by members of his own family. His uncle shackled his hands and feet and shut him in a dark enclosed room. The continual bad treatment by his close family led Othman and his wife to participate in the first migration to Abyssinia. Prophet Muhammad praised his forbearing character and said, "After Lot, Othman is the first man who, with his wife, has given up the comfort of his home for the sake of God." After some time, Othman and Ruqayyah returned to Mecca to be with the struggling Muslims and their beloved father and prophet. Othman formed a very close relationship with Prophet Muhammad, and he gained intricate knowledge about the religion of Islam. He narrated 146 traditions directly from the Prophet himself and was one of very few people who were able to write down Quran. Othman also became a reference point for those trying to learn the rituals of worship. He understood and was able to instruct others in the rituals of ablution, prayer, and other Islamic obligations. Othman also participated in the migration to Medina, and here he assisted Prophet Muhammad in establishing the Muslim nation. Prophet Muhammad even referred to him as his assistant. Othman gave freely from his wealth to please God and his messenger Muhammad. Historical Islamic stories mention that every Friday Othman would buy slaves for the purpose of setting them free, and that although he was wealthy he was often without servants because of this habit. When Prophet Muhammad and the Muslim armies were going to fight the Byzantines at Tabuk, he called on the wealthier people to give from their wealth and property to support and equip the soldiers. Othman presented 200 saddled camels and 200 ounces of gold. He also gave 1,000 dinars. Prophet Muhammad kept asking for donations, hoping to inspire others to give as freely as Othman. However, it was Othman who surpassed them all and gave a total of 900 equipped camels. The portrait we are able to build of Othman is that of a generous, unassuming, and kind man. He was known for his humbleness, modesty, and piety. Othman would often spend the nights in prayer, and he was known to fast often, sometimes on alternative days. In spite of his wealth, he lived simply and would often sleep, wrapped in a blanket, on the sand of the mosque. Othman was appointed as the third leader of the Muslims after Prophet Muhammad by a council of 6 men. He continued the humane and just rule of Prophet Muhammad, Abu Bakr, and Omar. He cared for the Muslims and expanded the Muslim Caliphate into Morocco, Afghanistan, and Azerbaijan. For 6 years, his reign was one of peace and calmness, but the winds of change were blowing over the empire. Othman ibn Affan, like his predecessors, was a man of the people. He was modest, shy, and humble, but still his later reign was marred by infighting and rebellion. God had chosen Othman to be the third leader, but the people of dissension plotted to remove him from this noble position. Prophet Muhammad had prophesied that Othman would be placed in a very difficult situation when he said, "Perhaps God will clothe you with a shirt, Othman, and if the people want you to take it off, do not take it off for them." Othman did not remove his shirt. His love for God and his messenger kept him both strong and humble in the face of old age and extreme difficulties. Othman ibn Affan was a man so loved by Prophet Muhammad, may the mercy and blessings of God be upon him, that he was called the possessor of 2 lights. Othman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, was married to Prophet Muhammad's daughter Ruqayya, and when she died, he married Muhammad's other daughter, Kulthum, thus possessing the two lights. Othman ibn Affan was appointed Caliph through a process of consultation and careful deliberation. On his deathbed, Omar ibn al-Khattab appointed a council of 6 men to choose a new leader. It was a time of confusion and chaos for the Muslims. Small disagreements were becoming obstacles. Some people wanted to appoint Ali ibn Abu Talib because he was from Prophet Muhammad's family. Others wanted to appoint Othman because he was from one of the great tribes of Mecca. Ibn Kathir, the respected Islamic scholar of the 14th century, suggests that the leader of the council, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, questioned both men and then chose Othman. Abdurrahman asked Ali, "Do you swear to rule by the glorious book of God, Quran, and the Sunnah, traditions, of his messenger?" To which he replied, "I hope to act according to my best knowledge and capacity." When Abdurrahman asked Othman the same question, he replied simply, "I do." It would be too simplistic to suggest that the decision was made solely by the answer to this question, but rather it was part of a process of reflection and deliberation. Both men were amongst several who were eminently qualified to lead the Muslim nation. Othman was a man known to be pious, generous, and modest. Perhaps his simple answer reflected his personality. A shy man, who spoke few words but whose heart was filled with love for God and his messenger. Immediately after being elected, Othman ibn Affan addressed the people from the minbar previously used by Prophet Muhammad. He looked at the Muslims and praised God, sent blessings upon Prophet Muhammad, and reminded the people that this world was full of deception. He advised the people to shun living luxurious lives and to seek a place in the hereafter, full of happiness and peace. To the governors, Othman expressed his desire for them to serve the people and never to exploit them. He sent prominent companions of Prophet Muhammad as his personal deputies to the provinces to scrutinize the conduct of officials and the condition of the people. Othman reminded the armies to follow the clear guidelines set down by Omar ibn al-Khattab and asked them never to forget that they were defending the believers. Extensive conquests were made during the reign of Othman, may Allah be pleased with him, including parts of Spain, Morocco, and Afghanistan. Othman was also the first caliph to organize a navy. He reorganized the administrative divisions of the Muslim Caliphate, expanded, and initiated many public projects. Perhaps Othman's most astounding contribution to the Muslims was his compilation of the Quran. After the death of Prophet Muhammad and during the time of the caliphs, hundreds of thousands of non-Arabs converted to Islam. Consequently, the Quran began to be recited and written in various different dialects and scripts. One of Prophet Muhammad's companions, and Othman's friend Hudhayfa, whilst on a journey, noticed that there were many different recitations of Quran throughout the Muslim empire. Hudhayfa suggested to Othman that there be an official version written in the style used in Medina. Othman knew the Quran by heart and had intimate knowledge of the context and circumstances relating to each verse. The Quran had been gathered during the time of Abu Bakr and was in the safekeeping of Prophet Muhammad's wife Hafsa. Othman took possession of the originals and ordered some of the most trusted companions to make careful copies. He then ordered all other unofficial copies to be burned or otherwise destroyed. 5 official copies were sent to the greatest cities of the Muslim Caliphate. Original copies exist to this day in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, and the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. The final 6 years of Othman's reign were marked by rebellion. Some of the governors that had been appointed during the reign of Othman were heavy-handed and to some extent unjust. In this way, the seeds of dissension spread and many of the people began to love the luxuries of life that Othman had warned against. Conspiracies arose and it was difficult for Othman to discern friend from foe. He was reluctant to shed the blood of any Muslim, however rebellious they may be. Othman preferred to persuade with kindness and generosity, for he always remembered the words of Prophet Muhammad. "Once the sword is unsheathed among my followers, it will not be sheathed until the last day." The rebels called for Othman to step down, and indeed many of the companions advised him to do so. Othman, now an old man of more than 80 years, heard the words of his beloved prophet ringing in his ears and refused to stand down from his position. "Perhaps God will clothe you with a shirt, Othman, and if the people want you to take it off, do not take it off for them." Othman remained true to his covenant, but after a long siege, the rebels broke into his house and murdered him. As the assassin's sword struck, Othman was reciting the following verse.
فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدِ اهْتَدَوْا وَإِنْ تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا هُمْ فِي شِقَاقٍ فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ فسيكفيكهم الله وهو السميع العليم.
Such was the tragic end of one of the most pious, kind and selfless men in Islam.